In response to my video audio recording of Jack Dempsey's book, Championship Fighting, I was asked how I would modify Jack Dempsey's style of boxing for mixed martial arts or self-defense, how I would modify it specifically to deal with wrestling and kicking. And here's the thing. I believe that Jack Dempsey's style of boxing, as he taught in that book especially, is the most universal style of boxing to translate to other combat sports. So, something a lot of people don't know about those old boxers, like Dempsey himself. He himself was a mixed martial artist. He cross-trained. He wrestled, he did catch wrestling, he did judo as well. All those old boxers used to wrestle, and you can see it in their head position when they clinch up. Because before the 1920s, they let the clinch go on and on and on, and they wouldn't break them up immediately. Sometimes infighting would happen. Dirty boxing was frequent. And so the boxers had to know how to wrestle. So do what Jack Dempsey himself did and learn how to wrestle. That's how you deal with takedowns. That's how you deal with a wrestler. You learn how to wrestle. How would you modify Jack Dempsey's boxing to deal with a kickboxer? Learn how to kick. Learn how to check kicks. Learn how to catch kicks. Learn how to avoid kicks. How do you deal with what your opponent knows how to do? You learn it too. There are all these videos out there, used to be a lot more of them, of how to use some traditional martial art that has nothing to do with grappling to defend against grappling. Like after the UFC first came out, a lot of people were calling it the double leg takedown, the Gracie tackle, which is hilarious thinking about it, but it's what they did. And they'd be like, here's the Wing Chun method to stop the Gracie tackle. Here's the Taekwondo method to defend the takedown. Here's the karate method to stop the double leg takedown. Here's the whatever method from whatever system that has nothing to do with a double leg takedown to defend a double leg takedown. And if you don't even understand what a double leg takedown is, how the heck are you going to successfully defend against it? So what do? To defend against a wrestler, you learn how to wrestle. Surprise, fighting is not a couple of simple tricks. Defending against a grappler is not just a trick that you do. I was just talking about Conor McGregor and Khabib and that fight. Got a whole other video on that. And a lot of people point at a guy like McGregor and say, oh, his wrestling's not that good. His jiu-jitsu isn't that good. And compared to world-class wrestlers, no. Compared to the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, no. Compared to the average person, he's light years beyond you. Conor, I believe, right now holds a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That is nothing to shake a stick at. A brown belt means you're pretty dang good at Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, he is not at the level in wrestling of, say, Jordan Burroughs, who I believe he trained with for his last fight. But he's a significantly better wrestler than those guys who don't wrestle. And put him in a wrestling match against people who don't know how to wrestle. Guess who wins that? Conor McGregor, wrestling champion of the people who don't know how to wrestle. Okay. So what I'm saying is there's levels. There's levels, right? So why is this guy who is not as good at jiu-jitsu as the best jiu-jitsu guys and not as good at wrestling as the best wrestlers, why is he such a good fighter? Why has he beaten so many guys who are better at him in those respects? Why? Because he also trains in those things so that he can understand them, so that he can defend against them. It's not a trick. It's experience. It is a skill set. So again, how do you modify Jack Dempsey's boxing to deal with a wrestler? Do exactly what Dempsey himself did and wrestle. How do you fight the kickboxer? Learn how to kickbox. But what's so great about Jack Dempsey's style of boxing? It is aggressive, it is explosive, and it has one singular goal: win the fight by inflicting damage upon your opponent. How does that translate into MMA? How are MMA fights judged? Who does more damage? Not who touches the other guy more with his hands, but who does more damage. How are MMA fights won? Technical knockout, knockout, submission. You do damage with your strikes, you do damage with your grappling, and it's much, much easier to submit somebody after they're broken, after they are damaged. Beat them up with your fist first, choke them out later. It's much easier than trying to choke out a fresh opponent. Man, I would have loved to see a prime Jack Dempsey fight in UFC 1. And I would have put my money on Jack Dempsey. Why? Because like I said before, he was a mixed martial artist. I don't think Royce Gracie would have stood a chance of taking him down. Because frankly, Royce's takedowns kind of sucked. He got better. He got better over time, but man, in UFC 1, not a good wrestler. Good jiu-jitsu, I think he was a 3rd or 4th degree black belt at the time, but not a good wrestler. Understand the difference. Man, Dempsey would have picked him apart. I think Dempsey would have won that event. If you want to fight me on that in the comments, please do. But yeah, I'm a big Jack Dempsey fan. He's my favorite fighter of all time, regardless of style. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for the question. If you have other questions, a lot of people say, where do I leave questions? Leave them down in the comments. Write a comment down below with your questions. Or send me an email at ramseydewey@gmail.com. And yeah, I'll give you some answers. Thanks for watching. Get out there and train.